A financial political crisis as a consequence of excessive debt, unfunded liabilities, spending, bailouts, and gross discrepancy in wealth distribution going from the middle class to the rich. No good has ever come from granting monopoly power to the state to use aggression against the people to arbitrarily mold human behavior. Such power, when left unchecked, becomes the seed of an ugly tyranny.
Don't look now, but Paul the Apostle has just wandered into the desert. Not the biblical Paul, the political Paul. But you'd have a very hard time distinguishing between the two, since Ron Paul's supporters also have darn near religious fervor for their enlightened leader. And why not? The former Texas congressman and presidential candidate single-handedly galvanized the nation to think that libertarianism isn't a crazy science. In Washington, it's about basic math. Money in, money out. A lot more money going out than coming in. A bad combination. And before anyone, and I have covered everyone, Ron Paul was first bemoaning its disastrous consequences. Yeah, even before that guy, Ross Perot. He joins me now on the phone for his first interview now as a former congressman. Welcome, sir. Very good to have you.
Thank you, Neil. Nice to be with you again.
At the risk of sounding smarmy and disingenuous, Congressman, I think you are among the smartest, sharpest, and most prescient public officials I have ever had the honor of speaking to. Now, I know against the cast of characters you've worked, that might not sound like a compliment, but it is. And I wonder, with a voice like yours gone, who watches the till? Who watches all the money going out of Washington?
Well, I think there'll be many, and if I did any good at all, there should be quite a few. And I think there are.
I had a hard time seeing them, Congressman, for that budget deal.
Well, how often do you see 15 people voting against the speaker, at least 12 Republicans?
Good point.
I mean, that means, you know, we used to say if we got 100 spontaneous phone calls in a congressional office, that meant there were about 2,000 people who were really thinking about it. And so if there's a couple congressmen who are frustrated with the system right now, that means we're a lot more congressmen that just didn't want to stand up and say so. No, it's there, and I try to be the optimist. But I don't find that optimism in Washington, and as you have pointed out so often, is that I get some encouragement, from the college campuses, and therefore I'm not a pessimist because I think they're willing to listen, they're idealistic, and they know what they're inheriting. So therefore, I think that we can pull out of this, but not with the current crop of politicians in Washington. Attitudes have to change, and that's what I work on, changing people's opinion. And I think to some degree I've had a little bit of success.
Well, I think you have, Congressman. What I found interesting covering this last presidential race so much is that you respected people's intelligence. And the proof was during the primary and caucus process, your comments on each election night were electrifying. Only you could get standing cheers and whoops from college kids. And you were talking about money supply and the Federal Reserve. And I have been trying my entire career to do that, Congressman. And I had the benefit of a prompter. You didn't. So hope springs eternal that this sticks and this measures and gets people galvanized. Here's my worry, though, Congressman. I look at these public opinion polls where people say, leave the spending alone, zap the rich, leave my Medicare alone, leave my Medicaid alone, leave my Social Security alone. Others saying, leave defense alone, just tax the rich. And I'm beginning to wonder whether we've gone from a country where supposedly the era of big government was over to maybe the era of big government is back.
Well, it never left. I don't think. I mean, there was talk of it, but I think the attack on the rich, and people have pointed out quite frequently that if you tax the rich, and took all their money, it only finances government for a very short period of time.
Right.
So in my farewell speech, I made this point that so many who advocate, taxing the rich, it's sort of envy. Envy is driven by destroying the people who are successful, not really helping the people. It doesn't help obviously the people you take the money from, but it doesn't help the people who's taking it. I mean, does it create a more vibrant economy? Does it increase our economic activity? No, but too often people are driven by envy, and they just can't stand the success of people making money. But that's what happens in the free market, and it's a measurement of success.
Don't you think we've given that up? I wish I had more time, but that the free market itself is what's being sacrificed here?
Oh, I think so. And, of course, I've been arguing that's been sacrificed a long time ago. I remember getting really criticized by somebody who was criticizing capitalism and how terrible this capitalism was. And I came back, but we don't have capitalism. We don't have free markets. We have fixed interest rates. We have intervention. We have overplanning, overspending, deficit. That's not what happens in a free market. A free market is designed quite differently. So I resent the fact when they blame the problems that we have. We've just had all these extremists believing in laissez-faire capitalism, and that's why we have this mess. They're wrong on that, and I'm trying to change people's minds regarding that issue.
Well, keep at it, young man. Ron Paul, I want to thank you. Last time you were here, I had a viewer tell me, Neil, when he leaves Washington, you should have him be your co-anchor. I immediately shot an email back. No, I don't believe in any co-anchor who would make me look bad. Congressman, thank you very much.
Well, have me back someday.
I will. Ron Paul.
Thanks.